When single dad Ethan Miller stormed out of that luxury restaurant with his little girl's hand trembling in his, he had no idea that the rude billionaire woman he just stood up to would change his life forever. But sometimes, life's greatest blessings come wrapped in the most unexpected encounters. So, before we begin this emotional roller coaster, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and stay till the very end, because this story will remind you what real strength, love, and redemption look like. Ethan Miller wasn't rich, but he was rich in love. After losing his wife to cancer 3 years ago, his world shrank to one person, his 7-year-old daughter, Lily. She was his sunshine, his purpose, the reason he woke up every morning. Working as a car mechanic in a small town, Ethan barely made enough to cover rent and Lily's school fees, but he never complained. Every night, he told Lily bedtime stories about brave hearts and second chances, never realizing that soon, he'd be living one himself. One Saturday afternoon, Ethan got an unexpected call. His best friend, who worked as a waiter in one of the city's fanciest restaurants, begged him for a favor. "Man, we're short-staffed tonight. I need someone reliable to help park cars for a VIP event. You'll make double pay, maybe even get a tip from one of those billionaires." Ethan hesitated. He didn't like being around arrogant rich people, but when he glanced at Lily sketching rainbows on the floor, he smiled softly. "All right. I'll do it." That evening, Ethan showed up at the gleaming marble restaurant in his simple black suit. The place was filled with luxury cars, Ferraris, Bentleys, Rolls-Royces, all shining like jewels under the golden lights. He started parking cars quietly, staying out of sight, until a black limousine pulled up, and out stepped Victoria Chase, the city's most talked-about businesswoman. Victoria was the definition of power, tall, elegant, flawless in her designer gown. But behind that beauty was a coldness that froze the air around her. She was used to people bowing down, used to never being questioned. And tonight, she wasn't in the mood for kindness. When Ethan opened her car door, she barely looked at him. "Careful with the car," she snapped. "It costs more than your entire life." Ethan's jaw tightened. He wanted to say something, but he bit his tongue. He'd met rude people before. He wasn't about to risk the job. Hours later, while he waited outside, Lily, who had begged to come along and wait in the corner booth, accidentally spilled her orange juice on the marble floor. Before Ethan could rush in to clean it, Victoria appeared, heels clicking sharply. She saw Lily and scowled. "Whose child is this? This isn't a playground. Do you know how much this flooring costs?" Ethan froze. Something inside him snapped. He stood up straight, eyes burning with a quiet fire. "She's my daughter," he said calmly but firmly. "And she's not a problem. She's just a kid. You can afford to replace marble, but she can't replace her father's dignity. So maybe show a little respect." The restaurant went silent. The billionaire woman blinked, stunned. Nobody ever talked to her like that. Not the board members, not the press, not even her so-called friends. For a moment, her icy mask cracked. Then she turned away without a word and disappeared into the night. Ethan thought that was the end of it. But it wasn't. 3 days later, as he fixed a broken car at the workshop, a sleek black car stopped outside. Out came Victoria Chase. The same woman he stood up to. His co-workers froze. "You're in trouble, man," one whispered. But Victoria didn't look angry. She looked unsure. "I owe you an apology," she said quietly. The entire garage went silent. "I was out of line that night. I don't often meet people who speak to me like that. It made me think." Ethan wiped his hands and raised an eyebrow. "Think about what?" She hesitated. "About what it means to have real strength. You protected your daughter, not with money or power, but with love. I lost that somewhere along the way." From that day forward, Victoria started visiting the workshop now and then. At first, it was about her car. But soon, it was about conversation. She learned about Ethan's struggles, his late wife, and how hard he worked for Lily. In return, she opened up about her own life, the loneliness behind her wealth, the emptiness she hid with work. One afternoon, she brought Lily a gift, a new set of watercolor paints. "Your dad tells me you love drawing," she said softly. Lily's eyes sparkled. "Thank you, miss." Weeks turned into months. The three of them grew close in ways none of them expected. Victoria began funding a local program to help single parents, inspired by Ethan's story. And Ethan, though humble, couldn't deny the warmth growing between him and the woman he once despised. But then came the twist. A news headline broke: Victoria Chase accused of corporate fraud. Her empire was collapsing, and the same people who once praised her now turned their backs. She disappeared from the media, vanishing completely. Ethan searched for her, but months passed with no word. Until one rainy night, as he was closing the garage, a car pulled up. Out stepped Victoria, soaked, tired, but smiling faintly. "I lost everything," she whispered, "except the people who mattered." Ethan didn't say a word. He simply stepped forward, placed his jacket around her shoulders, and said, "Then maybe it's time you build something real this time, with us." Tears filled her eyes as Lily ran up and hugged her. In that moment, the billionaire woman realized she had found something money could never buy: family, forgiveness, and a second chance. Years later, Ethan's small workshop had grown into a full-fledged auto company, funded by Victoria's mentorship and built on their shared vision. They weren't just partners in business anymore, but in life, and whenever people asked how a single dad and a billionaire fell in love, Victoria would smile and say, "Because one man dared to stand up for what truly mattered." So, if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and share it, because you never know when standing up for love and dignity might just change everything.